Hi, my name is Sheikh Ismail. I am a co-founder here at Sodium Learn, and today it is our second segment of the Sodium Learn L&D podcast that we have going on. I have with me my co-founder Walio. Say hi, Walio.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you guys.
And we also have our special guest Amirul, who will be giving his insights into how workplace training is for him and L&D in general. But to begin, I want Amro to just give us a quick introduction about yourself, about your career, and what you're up to at the moment, really.
Yeah, hi, my name is Amirul, and I am a recent graduate from the University of Oxford studying BA Mathematics. I'm now 5 months into my career as a data analyst at Equifax, a credit bureau.
And yeah, so you mentioned that you were 5 months, right?
Yes.
And before that, you were at Oxford. So that's amazing. So you do have like a kind of history with training, whether it's educational or whether it's corporate. So with the first question,
Okay.
it's going to be based on what you've seen in your career, what actually makes workplace training effective?
So, what I find with workplace training for me has been having a good amount of documents to go through and having different ways of learning. So, the way that my company has been doing training is that we have a platform which gives us select modules we can go through. And with those modules, there are pages which provide information and detailed summaries at the end, as well as little quizzes at the end. It has a bit of everything, a lot of engaging of reading and a lot of and memorizing, as well as testing you. And that's probably the best way to learn. I find that quite useful. There's also a bit of gamification where you can actually see your progress over time of how much learning you've done.
So, do you think gamification is a big aspect for you in terms of effective training? Like, that's what constitutes to an effective training regimen, like good gamification.
Yes, I do think gamification with it is actually really useful. It's really helpful. We grew up like as a generation who were obsessed with gaming and that playing games, and it's really nice to see that companies have picked up on that. That is a great way to get people to be engaged with their training and to have a positive outlook on it. What my company seems to do is that they provide a progress bar for your training for each module, as well as doing detailed summaries of how much you've learned every month, and actually having a streak system as well. Like the number of months you have some number of hours of training, it adds onto your streak.
Okay. And you mentioned that it was so a month to month basis. Do you have anything that's like more real time? Like you can see your progression in real time, or is it just month to month?
No, and there's not really much real time. Of course, there are your module progress bars, but there isn't anything as granular as real time. Oh, this is the exact percentage. I think that could be quite useful to have, having some sort of real time learning and progress matching. It gives you that short term dopamine rush when you see a small percent increase. And I think that will be quite useful for many individuals.
Yeah. And Walu, do you have any insights on real time progression? Because that is something that we want to kind of push for at Sodium Learn, even the gamification aspect as well. So it would be good if Walu can give us some insights on that as well.
Yeah. I mean, progression and tracking is so a core fundamental for our platform. Um, Being able to track learners progress across courses, different content, etc. that they're consuming and learning from is a very key aspect for. I'd say both, let's say the managers and the learners, right? For the learners, it gives that incentive to continue and push forward with their learning because they can see the progression in real time, right? If let's say they've been enrolled to a learning path, they might have five different courses, right? As they progress, they can see uh, those courses being complete and then um, being ticked off as they're moving forward with those different content they've been assigned to learn. And I guess another aspect to that would be, we're looking to develop a sort of skills level system, so like an XP sort of based system, because you know within any sort of role, you might have 5, 10, 15 different skills that you need to sort of learn, right? Whether let's say from soft skills to hard skills. And within those individual skills as well, you have sort of a large competency, right? You might be a beginner in that skill, so you might want to advance. So we do have, we want to sort of introduce this skill level concept within our platform. So as you sort of completing those courses, you're also, acquiring new skills, right? Your skill ranks are also going up. So those type of systems we're looking to sort of introduce within our platform that sort of aids into the gamification, giving users the incentive, right, to learn further, to continue learning across this sort of career journey within any sort of role, company, function.
So just to follow up on what you said, how do you see that kind of coming into your company, Amirul? Like, what did you take from that, and like, do you think that's a good idea to kind of implement where you're at?
I think having your platform back does allow you to have much more real-time progress would be quite helpful. An EXP system adds to the idea of gamification, so I personally would be very much happy to see that. I do understand, though, that different companies have different levels of professionalism, and maybe gamification in that sense of EXP scales would be seen as too informal. However, I don't see that being too much of a negative. If you are trying to make your colleagues and your employees engaged, the best way to do that is to make things a bit more friendly. And an AXP gauge or other systems as like that would be quite beneficial.
So now kind of tying into the next question. So we mentioned gamification, but another big key aspect that we want to enforce in training, learning, and development is collaboration. So I just want to ask you, have you seen collaboration make a real difference in how people learn at your workplace or how they pick up new skills or share knowledge?
Yeah. So one main obstacle that a lot of companies have is how to get their new employees to be part of their team. As we all know, as entering any new place, whether it's university, a job, anywhere, being a new guy kind of sucks. It's really hard to open up around other people and be your own self. So having some sort of collaborative onboarding actually is a great way to do that, especially alongside other new individuals. My company did something like that where we had in our onboarding weeks, since it's quite a global company, had a global online call, and we were able to just talk to other individuals there, did training together, had breakout sessions, and get to know other individuals of the company. And I found that really great, really helpful, of just being slowly eased into the company. And of course, we also did a lot of offline collaborative efforts. My company does a buddy system. Equifax does a buddy system where we are essentially buddied up with another individual as like a mentor, in a sense. Someone from a different team who could, although not necessarily help you with everything, they are very much helpful, just like slowly easing you into company, being a friendly face to know. And I found that very useful to have.
So you mentioned a lot of offline, not a lot of, but you mentioned offline. So do you think that your company could benefit more by being more online, in a sense where you don't have to be at the company to be social? Like, you can have a system in place where you can allow for collaboration. So it's not always you have to come into the office, then you can collaborate.
I think that would be really useful, especially at a time now where a lot of us are working, not only work from home, hybrid even. Having the opportunity to do more collaborative training online would be really helpful. And even then, if we did still have offline training, I would have liked to have some sort of guide or log that I could access online to see what I've done. Historically, there are some online sessions that I've had to manually log into my own journal rather than having that on a centralized system that other individuals could also see.
So based off of what Amirul was saying in regards to collaboration, how do you think we are kind of enforcing that at Sodium Learn?
Yeah, I say there's few ways we're sort of encouraging the sort of collaborative learning or social learning aspect, through features like, um, very minor features like, for example, if you participate in a certain course or a certain learning material, right, you can also see who else is also engaging with that sort of course, right, who's actively in that journey with you. So a lot of times, let's say for new hires, right, new staff who are just onboarding, it can be very overwhelming. But knowing that you are sharing that journey with someone else, right, it can be so encouraging to continue learning and progressing through, let's say, onboarding, your upskilling, etc. So there's little features like that, and then there is um, features like, for example, the social space, right, which is a collaborative, um, collaborative social media aspect to the platform that we're trying to introduce further down the roadmap. This will allow, let's say, learners, employees, managers, right, everyone to sort of come to one place, and engage with each other, right? So to sort of facilitate that peer-to-peer learning, whether you're struggling with something, whether you've achieved something, you can share in the one place, right? Get guidance, get mentorship, get opinion from other people. So essentially, just enabling the peer-to-peer learning is very, I would say, it's very powerful, um, because throughout your career journey, right? A lot of times there might be things that are not in the in the handbooks, in the documentation, where someone else who might be more senior have already come across that challenge, right? So sometimes it's just easier to sort of speak to them directly and share that knowledge across, so you can um, you can capture and sort of integrate the information quickly.
Do you see something like that, Amaral, being of benefit for your company or where you're at right now?
Yes, I think collaboration is important across your career development, and for as long as you're working, you are going to need to collaborate with people. You might choose to be more independent over time. However, there's always going to be some sort of interactions with other individuals. So having some sort of collaborative efforts in your training is a great way to boost that into your routine, just like have that as part of your day to day. I would actually really enjoy having a system or a platform that does allow for more collaboration with other individuals. I'm quite a social person, and having that ability to socialize in the workspace through training is quite a nice idea.
Yeah. And now tying into the final question. So we were mentioning, Sodium Learn, that's one kind of system, right? What systems do you have at work that, like, do you have an LMS at work, or like, how do you organize all your training?
So our main platform for self-learning and training has been Workday, where it does have some placed documentations that the company provides for that, and that's much more globally. It also has self-learning platforms that allows you to learn other uh, niche thing, like other niche material. For example, it allows you to learn SQL or, for example, some basics Python if you're still new to that world.
Yeah.
It's been quite helpful there. But we also have a lot of shared drives and filled with folders and documents and files or built by our teams, our companies, because truth be told, not everything on that Workday platform, which is more for self-learning, can be utilized when doing our day-to-day work. We have a lot of technical platforms that we need more specialized training for.
Essentially, these types of platforms or the technology you have right now, how do you think these elements kind of shape the way you learn at work as a team? And do you think AI can be a big factor in that as well? Or do you use any form of AI at work?
So, although AI is very important and something that the company is definitely looking into, just like with any other tech company, is very big. We also do not seem to use it much in our onboarding, which I would love to have seen more of. It would be quite nice to have, let's say, some more custom work guides where it's honed for the individual. So where, like, for example, if I'm going to be someone who prefers reading, I would be happy for an AI to be like providing me more documents. If I'm someone who likes being tested more, I would like an AI platform to actually create these questions that could be used, could be answers, and I feel like that would be quite useful. AI could also be used for organizing the different documents and guides that we have in our platforms, because right now it might be quite difficult to find a certain document that we need.
Yeah.
So it'd be quite helpful to have some AI that organizes it for you.
And Wally, do you have any input on that and how we're trying to tackle that at Sodium Learn?
Yeah, I think like Amos said, we're trying to sort of centralize all these different aspects, right? So let's say in a workplace you might have an LMS to access your self-paced learning, right? You might have another platform to deliver, let's say, different type of courses, right? Another platform where you might host your documentation and everything. So all these processes we're trying to centralize into one platform. And the way we're looking to sort of utilize AI is, um, if one platform becomes your sort of source of truth, right? Of course, the AI assistance is there to help the learner learn quicker, more effectively, and efficiently. So, if there are different sort of aspects of learning, right? For example, when you learn, when you get onboarded, right, you have very comprehensive learning during that. But as you sort of progress in your sort of role, your career, there are times where you need to sort of use applied knowledge, right? Where you need to apply that knowledge. So use cases might be, you log into, let's say, Sodium Learn, and this platform where it has all the sort of context and know-how of the company, right? A learner can just go there and ask for a certain thing, right? Maybe, okay, how do I access, um, right? Like, okay, what's the, I don't know, Python script for X, Y, and Z, right? It could be one example. So being able to also apply the knowledge they learn, uh, during the times they need it the most is also something of value, right? It's very valuable, I'd say, for people being able to do the best work. So yeah, I mean, in terms of how we're integrating AI, right, there's many different use cases. Um, through our AI assistants, to help the learner learn more effectively, quicker, and efficiently,
Yeah.
and then to also deliver personalized learning, right? AI would be able to sort of see an individual profile and sort of suggest courses that might be useful and beneficial for them, to upskill, right? If there is knowledge gap as well, you can identify that. So I think AI will be very effective to sort of deliver personalized learning in the future, and also it'll reshape how people learn. Definitely, yeah.
Amro, do you think adding AI and things like that with how Sodium Learner is doing it, do you think that's an effective way, and do you think that would be useful in your company? I know you mentioned AI being useful, but how we're doing it and how well you explained it, do you think that's a sufficient solution?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I feel like AI nowadays is developing at such a faster rate that it will be a mistake not to add it to every part of your workflow, especially in your onboarding and training. So having that type of AI would be great.
So I want to end off with a few words from yourself in regards to what do you feel like the future of learning, development, and workplace training is? What does that future look like? And how do you expect it to basically be in 5 years or even 1 year? So what do you think that looks like?
I think training is going to be quite different in the future, and I hope for the better. Having AI being a part of more training platforms would allow for it to be more optimal, and more self-created, self-optimized, and more honed and catered to for every individual. I also see it being more collaborative. I feel like companies know that, people do enjoy interacting with their colleagues, so having their onboarding and training being more collaborative will be great. And finally, I feel like having that gamification again. We as a generation love our gaming, and it would be nice to see that gamification in our workspace. So I really look forward to seeing that as part of the future of learning and onboarding and training in my career.
And with that, thank you, Amirul, for all your insights today. Thank you, Walu, also for joining me for this second episode of our L&D podcast here at Sodium Learn. And with that, thank you all for watching. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.